So our vision is really to have all the schools in the country be energy nodes. Because doing it the way where you have a proper energy management system, you cut out all the waste with energy efficiency, and then you go solar or some sort of alternative energy with battery storage. Doing it that way, you make them an energy generator and a consumer. So they're like a prosumer, and they're able to get revenue. They can sell the power to the rest of the community, and you've got all of these nodes that you can provide power to, and you're also preparing the communities of our country for the next industrial revolution.
Jason, you are an extremely fit guy. You maintain a well-balanced lifestyle, just from my observation. So how would you rate your overall well-being on a scale of 1 to 10? And maybe give me a reason why.
My overall well-being, I think I would rate it at a 7. That's just because I'm constantly training. I am currently training for a triathlon. The Ironman 70.3. It's happening in November.
Some people call it the Tin Boy.
The Tin Boy!
Because the Ironman's times 2.
That's true. Yeah, I'm starting off with that one. But it's been quite nice because it's like cross-training. You're swimming one day, you're cycling the other, you're running the other, you're resting, you're doing some strength training. So I am quite enjoying the training for the triathlon because it's like a balanced train. Yeah.
How does that training help you mentally?
That's a good question because, when you're out there riding for like 2 hours, 3 hours, that gives you a lot of time to think about stuff and to think through things. And even when you're swimming, like I know there's fancy technology where you can like do the bone conduction headphones and you can listen to music. But when you're swimming, currently when I'm swimming, it's just me in the water.
Yeah. Like in the pool or in the ocean?
Mostly in the pool. I'm on a 12-week program, and the program just started to do open water swims. So now I've started to go more open water, and it's tough, I have to say. So that's one way. It's actually building my mental fortitude because you have to do activities for a long time. You have to be focused for a long time, and you have to pace yourself. It sounds very easy, but if you need to do something for 3 hours, then you better pace the first half an hour right. Because if you're going to go too fast in the first half an hour, the rest is gone. So that helps a lot. If I just need to think about other stuff like work things, just like thinking in advance a little bit, long-term type stuff.
Yeah, those are some good tips already. Thanks for listening, boys and girls. So I want to go back. What interested you to study electrical and electronic engineering?
People. Yeah, I know most people study electrical engineering or electronic engineering for those things, and they say that engineers are people that are more focused on things. But for me, it was honestly people. It was later on, it became helping people and trying to make life better for people and reducing suffering. But at the start, it really was just the people around me that inspired me. So they didn't come to me and say, hey, be an engineer. They were just amazing people, and they happened to be engineers. And I did life with them. And it does stem from a place of faith for me personally. Don't worry, I won't go into any hectic stuff, but when I became a Christian, the guy who discipled me was an engineer. So I learned faith-based things from him, and it was just inspiring the way he did life. And in that whole group of people that he discipled, all of us went that direction. So we were so influenced by him. And then later on, so his name was Theunis, right? Later on, I meet another Theunis Booysen.
Oh, a different Theunis.
A different Theunis, but yeah, the people who call Theunis has been very instrumental in my life, because then I really got stuck into engineering and also like applying engineering in the public sector, the public space. to benefit other people.
So that come from school time, or was that university? Like when
A school time.
timeline? Okay.
So
you're
grade-
like 14.
So a bit older, grade 11. I think I was 15 or 16.
Okay.
That happened. That completely changed my life. Like completely changed my life. I don't think I would have been an engineer if I did not become Christian. Yeah, that's just part of my story. I would have gone a different direction. Yeah, I think that's where it all started.
That's interesting. Solving problems with electronics, electrical engineering for people.
Yeah.
And the power of what you can accomplish in solving people's problems with technology.
And
I'm going to use that quote at some point.
is that what also made you further your studies and not go into working after you got your degree?
Exactly. There was a little bit of chance that played into it as well, where the opportunities were there at the right time. So I did my undergrad. I got the opportunity to do a master's, and then I had to go work for our national power utility, Eskom. And at the end of that contract with Eskom, they said, we unfortunately can't employ you full time. So you have to go do something else. We don't know what you're going to do, but we're letting you know in advance. You have to go make preparations for this. In my mind, I thought, okay, what am I going to do? And my mind immediately jumped to, who can I ask for advice? And then the question was, who has been in the same situation as I am in now? And that person was Theunis Booysen. So in second year already, he had told us a little bit about his story. And long story short, he worked for Eskom. He went away from Eskom into the private sector. He came back into academia. He did academia really well, and he started companies. And when I saw that, I thought, wait, this is amazing. I really like the fact that his research translates really well into the public sphere, and it's just able to have so much impact. I want to do that as well. And the same way the first Theunis had an impact on my life, where I saw his lifestyle, it was super compelling. This other Theunis had a similar thing where his lifestyle and what he did work-wise was super compelling. So I spammed him with emails for about 2 months. And eventually he gave in and he's like, okay, let's go have a coffee. And then we have this coffee and I ask him for advice, right? And he's a pretty straightforward guy. I don't know if you guys have met him, but he's pretty straightforward. And he goes, wait, that's just how my life panned out. I didn't plan this. I don't have any advice for you to say, do this and this and this. However, I do have this PhD opportunity for you. Would you want to do that? And what I heard him say was, would you like to work with your role model, basically? And I was like, yeah,
yes, sir.
I'm going to do that. So it was a great opportunity to get mentored by someone that I really looked up to and someone that I could then, over the next 3 years, learn from. And I think I picked up a few things from Theunis.
And there's also quite a Theunis's kind of tech portfolio that he's been involved with, and people, the other Jasons that he's worked with. It's quite an impact-heavy portfolio. You have the Bridge IoT that's helping schools decrease their water usage, and that was like in the
in the water crisis.
Yeah, the water crisis.
Yeah, day zero type.
Yeah, that was a massive impact, and the media ate that up because he was saving big commercial properties and schools and everything. Hundreds of liters, thousands of liters of water a month.
Wow.
With their tracking stuff.
The total of what the water that they saved, it's hundreds of millions of liters over the time period, and also millions of rands. I think about 360 schools got involved in that, and the government also got involved subsidizing the meters for them to do that. And then with the energy crisis, now GreenX pops up.
Solving big problems.
Yeah.
And was he the one that actually planted seeds for entrepreneurship?
From my days working for a big corporate and a government institution like Eskom, I already had like this nudge towards something else that's not so rigid.
So what was that? You spent 2 years at Eskom, you had a contract, you had your master's already. And then how did that 2 years in industry working at ESCOM, and let's not talk about politics, but ESCOM is what it is. And how did that shape how you viewed your PhD and how you wanted to use your PhD? Or did it?
No, it definitely did. It when the PhD opportunity came up, I thought, wow, I need to really make this work. And working with Theunis and the way he did stuff, it just made it really easy because we were going for impact and we were going for like having change in the public sphere. So we did research, but we actually went to schools, and when we walked out of the school was better. The school had better lights, the school saved more money, and we can do nice research on that because we had meters in, we measured everything. But just the way it was done, we improved things the whole time, the whole way through. So when that opportunity was there, and with the reference being at that corporate government institution, it just made me want to run away from something. So it gave me that drive to run away from, I don't want to be here. Like I knew I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And then when the school's research came up, it was some place to run towards. I do think though with ESCOM, before that, I did not leave the Western Cape. And with ESCOM, because they have power stations all over the place, that was a eye-opener for me. Because now they're sending me to the Northern Cape, to the Eastern Cape, to KZN, doing all these things and working on very big projects, disassembling generators, climbing inside them, looking at their health. That was an awesome opportunity to work with the engineers there. It was fantastic.
But also, I think getting it into the entrepreneurial side of things, oftentimes research-heavy spin-outs, you haven't left the lab until you create the company. But for you, it's totally different. You were in the research from the grassroots, the start of the research. You're talking to the customer, so to speak. That's a very useful way to go about it, because then you're validating the concept. You're doing your customer discovery from the start of creating the IP. And then when you spin out, it's like, this is easy, guys. Yeah, it's quite a useful way to approach it.
Get ready to embark on an innovation journey, because this episode is proudly sponsored by LaunchLab, the undisputed champion of incubation among Africa's universities. What makes LaunchLab the epitome of incubation excellence? Unrivaled incubation programs, affordable co-working spaces, and community and networking events to showcase your business. Connect with a passionate and experienced team at LaunchLab to illuminate your path to success. Join the LaunchLab family, where innovation knows no boundaries.
And at what point during your PhD did you actually think about, oh, this is actually a business?
So it was the last year that we did the research, because by that point we had already gathered all the data, and we did this life cycle cost over 7 years of one of the interventions that we did, and it was very, very clear that the school was saving money, and at that point the team started to ask questions like, can this possibly be a business? And
who's the team?
So the team, it was the two supervisors, Booysen and Sarah Groblar. It was me implementing the projects. There was another person as well, or a few other people involved. Let me say, the contractors supplying the lights and installing the lights. Just speaking about one of the interventions now that we did, the lighting one. So one of those contractors, he is also an entrepreneur, and he also mentioned it. So initially, when we started the whole thing, he was actually part of it. But he exited the company very, very quickly. The last year we saw it, and then we actually finished the research 6 months earlier to start the company. So the research finished when it finished, we started the company.
Was it easy to transition?
It was
What
very
is that process like?
no with Innovus, it was very easy to transition because we had been in talks like 2 months before we started the company. So that was May, and then July, the company started, and I only graduated that December. But I don't think that would have been possible without Innovus because they were just like slick in the whole process. Starting the company, getting the bank accounts, all of that.
Yeah.
It was seamless from my point of view.
It's a well-oiled machine over there. Yeah.
Go for
Doris
it.
in particular, she waxed.
Doris.
Yeah.
And without a business background, was it challenging?
Definitely. For me, it was very challenging. But I'm quite a draft type guy. Like if I've got some sort of idea, then I can kind of run with it, and then that's how I learn, just like bumping my head the whole time and then learning. So that got us off the ground and doing these types of projects. But with the research, because the research was structured in a project manner, and we were applying for funding, it was very easy because when we started the business, we went to our big government client and we said, let's do the same thing for many more schools. However, this is now a business. And they were very keen for that. For the first pilot, they could say, let's do a pilot, go for it. Yeah, and then it was a learning process from there onwards.
So you say Innovus was very useful in helping you get the company set up in that first little bit. But can you give like a specific or practical example of you're an electronic engineer, you have a PhD, now you have a business. Like maybe take us into one story of in that first, maybe the first 6 months while you're still finishing your PhD or just after that, like a blind spot that was then opened. It's like, oh wow.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm leading a business now.
Yeah.
And how Innovus, Launch Lab, GreenX, how that thing kind of unfolded.
Okay. There's two things that come to mind. The one was our discussion about shares.
Yeah.
I'd never had a discussion about shareholding. And when that came up, that was quite interesting because now we were discussing who gets what part, and you had to justify why do you now get 25%? Justify that.
Yeah.
So that was one eye-opening one. Luckily, that conversation was very peaceful.
Yeah.
Because up until that point, and leading up to that discussion, that specific one, there were like things said like, so don't worry, we're gonna have this discussion. We're not gonna be friends for the next week, and then we're gonna be friends again. That's what happened, or that's what was said. But it didn't turn out like that at all because I don't know if we took an easy way out, but we just said let's divide it equally. And I don't know between the founders and Innovus.
So if there's 3 founders, 4 founders, 5 founders, it's all everyone has the same piece.
Basically, but it was made easier by some of the founders not advocating too much. Let me say that. So how we actually spread it out was I got a percentage, and an equal percentage went to the 2 supervisors, and then an equal percentage went to Innovus. And then the other founder, the entrepreneur person, he also got an equal percentage. Where that also got very real was when people started to put down money. Like that was just ridiculous. When someone said, okay, but for this 25%, for instance, I'm willing to put down 500K. And then with a serious face, the conversation goes on, and I'm like, I don't have any money to put down. And then someone else responds, okay, I can do this. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Who are you?
Yeah,
Where do you have this money?
So that was one. The other one was when we needed to do like taxes and financial auditing and all of that. and I didn't know how to do any of that. But then Innovus, so they guided us through the shareholding process. But then with the financial stuff, they also guided us through that. And that was a thing of, we have this outsourced financial company that can help you. It doesn't have to be this company; it can be other companies as well. And we've since been engaged with, or been engaging other financial companies. But that just made it easy when they said, here's a financial company that we normally work with. The startups, they know how we work.
And they discount their rates for.
They
this
do discount
portfolio
their
of
rates.
companies.
They do, yeah, they do actually. And the same story for the legal services. So they introduced us to a few of their legal guys that they normally work with. Same thing, discounted rates. So as a researcher, engineer, now business guy, everyone's expecting you to just be this entrepreneur. Like, I'm just a deer in the headlights, but then Innovus steps in and goes, okay, but financial things, this person. Legal things, this person. Shareholding stuff, these guys.
And how much, as the CEO, do you get involved in those things? Because you're an engineer, you're an energy company, you're providing clean tech services to your customers. How much do you feel like you need to get involved in the finance, the legal stuff?
So currently, I feel like I need to get involved in it 100%. Because if I don't do it, or if I don't initiate it, then who's gonna initiate it? Because realistically, in Innovus, they've got many companies to look after, and they want their companies to initiate things and to take ownership. It was such a great moment for me when I got to pay some of those services, because at the start they would say, this is the guy that you speak to for financial things, but we'll pay the first few months, don't worry about that. And then with the input and all of that, I needed to give a lot of input, but it was all guided. And then when we started to get revenue, it was really nice to actually just pay those bills ourselves.
So you might have been thrown in the deep end, but Doris gave you some water wings to try to float around.
No, she did. No, she really helped us out. And she has an open door policy. I can go to her for anything from branding type questions to just like professional image or marketing questions, or further on legal things.
What are the early challenges that you face
as a startup? So it was actually figuring out what was going to be our business model, and kind of etching that out. That's still a work in progress. So there are things that we've tried, and we're just trying to improve those things. So that's a kind of struggle where you need to get a client, a very big client, but they want to see this elaborate business plan and how it's going to work out, all these timelines. So I got some practice doing that in the research. But it was a different ball game now doing it as a company. But it just took a lot of effort, seeing the people, being very persistent, and it helped a lot working with the right people from the research perspective. So working with the head office of the education department just made things tons easier, because now I basically get a golden handshake from the university that says, hey, this is our company from the university, meet each other. So
or if you were just Jason Samuels, random Joe, the door doesn't open.
The door doesn't open. The door doesn't get answered. Like none of that. And that's another benefit working with university. There are so many partners and networks that they have that I've got access to with this logo. The one time I literally walked into a municipality office, and they said, if we didn't see this sticker, we wouldn't have spoken to you right now. So it does open up a lot of doors, and I don't know why other startups don't punt this a lot, but I guess you want to stand on your own feet at some point. So at some point this is gonna get smaller. But for now, it just opens so many doors. The brand has so much trust invested in it. When I go to school, because we work with a lot of public schools, when I go to school, they see this, it just changes everything. They're like, oh, Stellenbosch University, come in.
Even in the Northern Cape or the Free State, not just like.
So even there, so we're working in Gauteng quite a bit now with private schools there, and this brand is massive.
Yeah,
it's massive. It means a lot.
And which other partners were critical in your continuous journey?
So that's a really good question. We needed someone to be quick on their feet with the installations. So that's one partner. It can also be many partners as we've transitioned to now. But at the start, it needed to be someone that we can say, we want to do 10 schools. Can you do it? But when can you do it? Next month? Okay, cool. Run with it. Then we also needed to source the equipment to actually do the energy saving, because everyone says their light saves you energy. That's not the case. During the research, I could test a whole bunch of lights that say the same thing. They don't offer the same thing. So it was then through the research that I figured out, okay, these guys go for this type of light, this type of spec. It costs you like 10 times more, but that's only in the short term. In the long term, it's going to save you 10 times more.
Yeah.
So just having that discussion with people, because they always want to buy the cheapest thing from a government perspective, because why are we buying this expensive thing? But that was some interesting discussion to have and to get those people. So a high quality, durable product to actually have the impact that you want to have. So those two people were very key: the manufacturer and the installer.
Maybe let's jump into. I don't think we've unpacked it yet. What does GreenX actually do?
Yeah.
Like, give us your
Service
elevator
offerings.
pitch and what
Yes.
are the product service offerings that you guys do?
Okay, so what GreenX does is we help our clients to save energy and electricity, and we move them towards a sustainable management system. So that's what we do. We do it through tech as well. So we've got 4 major services. The first one is energy performance certification, and you need to be an accredited inspection body to do that. And we are an accredited inspection body, which is really cool. What that certificate does is it highlights your efficiency level. If it's too low, below level D, then you need to do efficiency improvements. So we can help you with that as well. So our second service is energy management. There we would install energy tracking devices that's able to read in your electricity data, send it to the cloud, and we can then work with the data. Because primarily we are actually engineers, and we work with the data. We can make data dance and sing and all of that. So we use the data to actually build sustainable energy behaviors. And you can actually take a step back and not only do energy, but you can do other resources. You can do water, you can do waste. But with the data, we build these energy habits where we can track your normal usage patterns, and we can see when you go above that. That's the second service. The third service is energy efficiency. So from energy performance to energy management, now it's energy efficiency. That's where we look at the items that you have in your building and how you use those items. And we have the expertise to make recommendations to change those items or to use them in a different way. We also set up the projects to change those items. So that might sound like I'm saying the same thing. However, not everyone has the funds to fund their own project.
Right.
So with the energy efficiency things, we would come in, we'd assess the situation, we'd design the project, cost the project, and go find a funder for a public school that's not able to fund their own services. And how we make money is we get a cut of that. So we've been able to do that for 75 schools plus. Yeah. So from having no funding for an energy project, we go in, we do the assessment, design the project, and then we do some project management as well to see that the quality is of a good standard. We spec the whole thing, we cost it, we find a funder, and then that gets implemented, and we walk through that whole process with the appropriate procurement processes as well. Because working with government, you've got PFMA that you need to adhere to. So that's the third service. So if we can just quickly recap, we've got energy performance, energy management, energy efficiency, and then the last one is energy resilience. So there we take the data and the optimized energy system, and now we design a solar system and a battery system for you. Yeah. So that's only at the end when you've cut out all the waste and you've got a good management system. But you
you've
can
shown
also
the month-to-month savings that then you can take that and bank that and pay for the solar and battery installation.
Exactly. So you can do that. You can take those funds, you can invest it into some of your primary functions or services. Like for school, you get more books, you get another teacher, you do those things.
That's great. And maybe a couple more brag stats, like 75 schools. What's your revenue? What's your team size? Like brag a little bit on GreenX. Revenue, team size. How much have you saved schools this year?
Yo, that's an interesting question. I wish I could just
have
give
you reduced the stage of load shedding for the province yet?
For the province yet, we're not yet there. However, if you just do lights, right? We figured out if we just do lights for all the schools in the country, then you can bring it down by half a stage of load shedding. Which is really cool, which is really massive. And if you do solar on top of that, you can go to a stage to 2 stages of load shedding that you drop. And that's the impact that schools can have in our country.
Just schools?
Just schools. So I'm just focusing on schools here.
So is your is your target market just public schools?
So, yes. However, we are branching out to private schools because we've got a couple of big private schools in our country and private school groups because there are a few of them as well. But we are exploring other sectors like the health sector, hospitals, private hospitals, and also tertiary educations, universities, as well as municipalities. Because
but it's good. You found a beachhead market and you exploit that. Learn all that you need to, and then branch out into other things. That's awesome. It just happens to be public schools that is the first move.
Yeah, that's the first move, and it's been nice to be able to expand the team from being just a solo guy trying to do this. And I do have my board of directors with me, which is really cool, and Innovus is with me. It's fantastic. But we've expanded from being 1 person to now being 11 people.
11 people. In how long?
In 2 years.
Awesome. Wow.
In 2 years.
Yeah, I'd love to know how you did that. Could you walk us through some of the steps
that
you took?
That's a lot of leadership flexing.
And then with regards to the revenue, I have to be honest here. So that's still something that we're trying to figure out. Because with the projects that we've done, right, for year on year, it's been a 6 million rand project per year. But a lot of that is outsourced, and we're now working on a few different revenue models where we're able to get a monthly recurring income. One of those is actually to do consulting, and the other is to use the tech, and this is where I'm leaning more towards, use the tech to actually have a service that helps people and schools and other buildings to save energy daily. And you pay for that. 200 rand a month, 500 rand a month, whatever the sector is, there's going to be different pricing, but you can do that. So with the energy savings, this is really interesting. So it all stacks up. It's about if you do all these services, energy performance, energy management, energy efficiency, and energy resilience, you can save up to 50% of someone's energy bills. And here we speak.
Give us that in megawatts or kilowatts, whatever.
So I can do that in rands because everyone understands rands. So there's the normal small school where they would have been paying 5,000 rand, right, for 5 to 10,000. Let's say 5 to 15,000. They're now paying 2.5 to 7.5. The normal medium school paying between 40 to 70,000 rand a month for energy. It's just ridiculous what we're paying for energy currently. But load shedding and tariffs, it's just pushing us to pay more. So now you're not paying 40 grand anymore, you're paying 20 grand. And then you've got the big users, the private schools. They're paying about 100 grand upwards for electricity.
Yeah, they're heating pools and
They've got campuses. They've got so many
yeah.
buildings. They've got extracurriculars. They have boarding houses. They're basically a small university on their own.
And of
for
course,
some of the small public schools, that 3-4 grand a month you're saving, that's like a week of meals.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
when you put it in tangible terms, that's massive impact. You're feeding children for a week from that saving.
whereas of course the private school can afford to do those things
Yeah.
with the income coming in from the kids' parents.
So our vision is really to have all the schools in the country be energy nodes, because doing it the way where you have a proper energy management system, you cut out all the waste with energy efficiency, and then you go solar or some sort of alternative energy with battery storage. Doing it that way, you make them an energy generator and a consumer. So they're like a prosumer, and they're able to get revenue. So no longer are you just saving them money, you're actually empowering them to get revenue from somewhere else.
Yeah.
They can sell the power to the rest of the community, and you've got all of these nodes that you can provide power to, and you're also preparing the communities of our country for the next industrial revolution.
Yeah.
So when EVs come in, you know where they're going to
You can
charge
charge a
their
school.
you can charge a school, or you can even charge the minibus taxis that we're heading towards, the electric minibus taxis.
That's the other company coming out of that portfolio.
That's the other company coming out, which is just Theunis, you've done something amazing.
6 months. Give us 6 months.
Which is just crazy. But that's the potential of a school, and they have so much roof space, and so
Got you.
much potential. So
I want to dive more into the vision, but I also have questions around the team, because that's what fascinates me.
Yeah.
As a leader, what steps did you implement to, in such a short time, go from 1 to 11? What is your culture building practice, if any?
Wow.
Could you walk us through? Did you just come up with it on the job, or did you actually upskill yourself? Did you speak to your board? Did you speak to individuals to actually learn how to lead a team?
that's a good question. There was a lot of influence and advice from the board, especially Theunis, because he's done this before. So one of the first people we employed was a recommendation from Theunis. That person has been involved in other startups before, and the skill set that she had, it just fitted really well. So advice from the board really helped, and then we never really advertised the positions. We never really went and said, "We've got jobs, please apply." But the people working here, they kind of found us. They kind of almost heard about us, and they were like, "We love what you do. I want to come work there. I want to come help the schools. I want to come help the buildings of South Africa. How do I do that?" So yeah, I think the attitude of a person, like that matters way more than the skill set. The skill set does matter a lot, but yeah, in the industry that we're in, working with public schools, like you go to a school, and then you're sitting there with a principal who's overburdened and budget restricted, and they've got so much stress that they might unload something on you, and you need to be there and serve. So the people on the team, they're serving, and that's a quality that I've been looking for. But it's been tough, I have to say. I've also been speaking to you about it. It's really tough just to have all the like personalities come together, and to have the team work well together. It's reinforcing those values.
So I know that you do a daily lunch. What else do you implement?
Yes, we like the daily lunch, because then that it's an opportunity for the team to sit together and to not work, but to eat a meal and to speak about other things. We've got our daily stand-up as well, so just 15 minutes where we get together and you're speaking about what you're doing. And let's say we're not even in a micro team, but you know what that person is doing. So you can give some feedback. You can ask them if they need advice, But we're trying to be in contact with each other very frequently. And then also Teams. We like to use Teams because some of our employees, they work from home. So there's like a rule. When someone sends a message, you have to react. That's just how it is. If it's a thumbs up, it's great, but you have to react.
I have a follow-up comment, but I'll start with a question. How many of your team, so you're you plus 10 or you plus 11?
So plus 10.
Okay, plus 10. How many of them are Stellenbosch University graduates that have gone through kind of the master's kind of world? Are any TVET graduates, or like what's kind of their background? There's a reputation engineers have, and you wanted to work with people that's already kind of breaking the mold. But what's that background? I have maybe a comment after your answer.
So about half of us have tertiary education,
Yeah.
and the rest don't.
Okay.
So they've got secondary level education,
Yeah.
and some of them are still studying. So they're students, and they do part-time work. Yeah, we've got data analysts, we've got engineers, we've got quality personnel. So from a quality background, being in a lab and having to check all the sorts of things and not skipping a step, those types of people as well. But then with the people that don't have tertiary education, they come with loads of experience from working in banks or working for the credit bureau. And then there's a group of them that don't have a lot of experience at all, or any tertiary qualifications. So
What's
that's
the average age?
they're very young. So it's like 23, 24.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're like the old guy.
I'm the old guy.
Are
So
you even 30?
So I am 30. I'm 30 on the dot. We've got like 2 people, maybe 3 people that are the same age, but we're not old. Most of us are younger.
Yeah. Because there's in the leadership journey, there's this jump where, especially with academic entrepreneurs, where you're really good at managing projects and tasks. You get grant money. You have 6 months, 12 months of a student doing their master's. You have the grant kind of timeline. You have to execute within that time frame. So you have a project and you manage tasks in that. And people know they come, they're here for 12 months, they do that, and then they go off somewhere to the next degree or postdoc or get a job. And the most difficult leap to make is moving from managing projects to managing people and teams. Because then they're with you for 2, 3, 5, 10 years. And there's emotions. Life happens in that time. Where with the project, you can get over it in 6 months or not much happens. But over years, life happens. And that's the most difficult jump to make for a leader, to change your thinking from humans, or from things, to humans that are emotional beings and life is happening to them. And that's maybe you've had to navigate that, or you're busy jumping.
Yeah.
Where the project phase is over. Now there's a business model that we're discovering. We've had people for 18, 24 months now, and it gets complicated.
I guess there's also tertiary education for the technical stuff.
Yeah.
But there's no further education for the emotional stuff.
Zero.
And so I guess that's what you're leading.
You didn't study psychology.
No, not at all. But I don't know if this is a plug for Innovus, but when some of the emotional stuff popped up, the first people I went to, Doris. I could go to Doris and say, Doris, I've got these issues that I'm facing. Can you suggest a few professionals that I could speak to? Immediately, psychologists or whoever to assist. So that's been really cool.
Yeah, because that's not something you need to be able to do bits of it to lead people. But there's things that are beyond what your ability is as a CEO.
No, that is true. And there's been some interesting things where, like a client would also have some sort of emotional thing happen, and then I can only help so far, and the rest is beyond me.
Yeah.
So
that's good. Knowing your limits as a CEO and what is your role and what's not your role.
Is that also what you tell your team?
Yeah. So knowing the limits.
When it comes to clients.
So when it comes to clients, the default posture that we take is to serve and not to take what they, if it's something negative, not to take it personally.
Yeah.
It just bounces off you. So yeah, that's the default position. Yeah, so and they do that really well, I would say. And I mean, we're not robots. We make mistakes, and we are all growing. But I'm super grateful for a team that's in for that, like in for, this is gonna be tough. This guy might shout at you for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
But we're gonna serve this guy. We're gonna improve his school. We're just gonna do the amazing work.
And just a follow-up question, what extra support do you think is necessary for spin-off company founders?
So a hub like this is amazing. So having all these companies around, just peer conversations, like speaking to other CEOs or other spin-out companies, that's great. Speaking to you guys, like I feel there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? But it's like I'm open to approach you. Like you guys are very approachable. I can ask you almost any question.
Well, there's the random chat you mentioned we had the other day about a particular challenge you're having, where that's not necessarily in your normal day-to-day. It's like you're doing the work, but then there's this burning thing in the back of your head, and in a random chance passing in the corridor, it's like, I've been thinking about this.
Yeah.
But you're not going to sit down and send an email about it. But when you have that, it's like, oh, now it's on the table. Now we know we need to have a conversation about that and unpack that a little bit more, which put those issues down and carry on with life because there's burning stuff. And if you don't have those random interactions, and that's you can't really make that tangible in a space like this. You can't quantify that really. It's like we need to be in the space and bump into each other to have the randoms that lead to something more significant.
So is that the power of community? I guess that's what I'm taking from it, especially a co-working community space. Was that invaluable towards your growth?
No, definitely. Being in a space, it's just geared for that. Because everyone is kind of going through the same thing, maybe different phases, but I can walk across and I can speak to Luzanne, and she's perhaps faced a few things that I'm still to face or facing currently. So that's the benefit of having a community like this, where you can engage and it's very free and very open.
I'll make a selfish plug. I think that's the difference between a launch lab type space and a Regis, where the people that come here, we kind of expect it. And we curate that in the people that are here, where Regis is just like, pay the money, use the seat, we don't really care. There's a business model for that. Those work, and some people just want that. Other people, the entrepreneurs that are here, it's like, no, I need a community around me because it's hard. And it's almost required to be in this space.
I'm definitely a prime example of that.
Yeah.
For someone who's coming up in your journey, has a PhD project and goes through a similar process, what are 2 or 3 things that you would advise this individual on to look out for, possible things to look for?
Wow. So I think that people who've done a lot of research work, that is a big platform to stand on. And because when you get that degree, when you get the PhD, like it just opens so many doors, and you have something to point to that everyone else in the world says, yeah, we recognize that thing. That's a valid thing. So I would want that person to know that they have something valuable, super valuable. Like take that PhD and actually use it to open doors for you. You don't need to go to someone and say, hi, my name is Dr. blah, blah, blah. Not in a superficial way, but share your research results. If there's something that you're able to commercialize, go chat with the people at InnoFS, go chat with the people at Launch Lab, because I think in the collaboration, that's where you can actually go forward with it. But I mean, it's perhaps a question of, do you want to do that? So whatever you want to do, I just say leverage your qualification, because that's the major benefit for me. And maybe someone that's in a position just before that, maybe they're doing masters or they're doing undergrad and they're considering PhD or postgrad, I'd just say work with someone that you want, that you look up to as a mentor or a possible mentor. That's for me the value that masters gives you, or PhD, because now you get 2 hours with someone that can mentor you. And I'd rather have that be a person that's done a lot of amazing things and that started companies if I want to also do something similar.
Next steps, key next steps. So if you could provide us with some needs, opportunities for GreenX, what are your next steps? What are you chasing?
Okay, so
Don't
wow.
hold back.
Don't hold back. Okay, I'm looking for 10 million rands.
Chips.
Chips. No.
Ask for dollars.
Okay, Aussie dollars. Yeah. So we've got a few ambitious projects that we're wanting to do. The one entails like a heavy investment in infrastructure. And this would be smart metering infrastructure, just to be able to get a load of data and to actually design systems and to do energy management with. So that's a project that I want to do over the next year or two, to actually help the province and other provinces as well to actually get our schools and other buildings in a position where they're not reliant on Eskom in the next 5 years. So those are some of the goals that I'm heading towards. And then a big goal for me is I want to document the whole thing. So because when we do a school, it's process driven. It's the same things that you're doing the whole time. So I want to capture those things and make a big splash about it and tell everyone about it so that they can also get started.
And for Jason personally, what is your, I like to call it, big, hairy, audacious goal?
After the Tin Boy.
After the Tin Boy. Oh wow, no. So I want to. At some point, I would like to do a full Ironman. That would be fantastic. But yeah, I think just doing big collaborations. So there's one that might be happening soon with a big company.
Yeah. Keep watching the Launch Lab social media channels.
Yeah, just keep
learn
watching.
what that is.
Yeah. So I think just going on to the next thing. So I'm trying to get the province sorted, get the other provinces sorted, going to Africa, all of that, while not dying too soon. Yeah, can't die now. Yeah, just having a lot of impact. That's what I want to do. And these qualifications that we get along the way, it just opens up another door for me to have a lot of impact with. So yeah, looking to get a few other qualifications, but never for the title, only for the opportunity to have more impact.
I love it.
Awesome. One value note to the audience, because your target market isn't the average person with a house. What light bulb should we buy? Can you give us that little bit, that advice for free?
Okay, for free. Okay. So here's what you do, right? So you're gonna be looking out for an LED light, right? But not all LED lights are the same. So you're gonna look at the packaging, right? And there's gonna be a thing that says PF. It's gonna say power factor, right? That power factor needs to be higher than 95%, or it needs to be higher, 95% or higher, right? If it's not that, don't buy that. If it's 30 watts and above, below that it's fine. But if you're going above that, so a lot of the school lights, they're 60 watts. Okay. But you can replace it with a light that has a 50% power factor. What that means is 50% of the power that you're pumping into that light is wasted. Yeah. So just look at look for the PF power factor. It needs
So it's taking 60 watts. You're only getting 30 watts power.
It's taking 120 watts of apparent power. It's 120 volt amperes. reactive if you want to.
So you're getting half of what you're paying.
So half of that goes into the watts. Half of that is the 60 watts, and the other half is reactive power. And municipalities charge for reactive power.
That is a great nugget to walk away with.
Well,
Yeah.
see, guys, I'm going to build this.
Jeez. Okay, thanks for taking the platform, and yeah, we're looking forward to watching your journey.
Thanks, guys.
Yes, and also want to acknowledge you for doing the work that you're doing. You're impacting the public sector and these individuals that can't afford to otherwise. You providing them with funding, and you are really making an impact already. So yeah, I want to thank you for doing that.
Thanks, guys.
And keep the
Really
work
appreciate it.
going. And I hope that we can support you in your journey.
Let's go.
Awesome. Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, cool.